I now call this meeting of the Cranston City Council to order. At this time, I would like everyone to turn off their cell phones. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Here.
Here. Present. Present. Present.
Present. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the last meeting?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilwoman Lee? Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Will everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under public acknowledgments and commendations, Cranston High School East Thunderbolt Band, U.S. Band New England Champions, and 8th place U.S. Band National Group 2. Is there any from the public? Any other public acknowledgments or commendations? Councilman Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. When we were doing the citations, I noticed a young lady whose last name was Botts. So I asked Councilman Botts if there's any relation, and he said, yeah, in fact, there was. So he's going to come up with me and disperse the citations.
Thank you. What's your step? Okay. Thank you.
So as I read the name of the person on the citation, please feel free to walk up and Councilman Santa Maria will hand you the citation. So first is Ian Essis, Pedro Polanco, Emily Gautreau, Lucille Denaro, Crosby Rivera. Emily? Catalina Cortez. Haley Kelly. Emily Kiev. Stephen Kiev. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Peter Zhang. Jezalee Lacap. Justin Cruz. Molly Botts. Sure. Peter Vanini. Adrian Cartagena. Cartagena, sorry. Darian Dinero. Molly Bourne. Jody Huang. She's coming. Jonathan Penta. Joshua Nelson. Calvin Jimenez. Eric Halverson. Giovanni Jimenez. Brianna Stewart. Fiona Hessian. Lee Vachon. Quentin Young. Juliana Roberti. Jacob Nelson. I think this is twice in 2 months for the Nelsons, right? John Zambrano. Molly Bourne. We already did that, right? Yeah. Emily Nunez. I guess. Cody Kong. Yep. Jessica Wong. Catherine Coningford. Joanna Wong. Shavana Yee. Taylor Rainio. Leah Gold. Ashley Ariel. Paloma Borgia. Emily Chen. Bianca Duran. Kaylee Fusco. Cole Arabi. Arabi. Kevin Aldana. Hannah Van Bell. Emily Granados. Talia Parenti. Patrick Wynn. Wee Ho? No? Is she? Did I get it right? No. Taraji Ramos? Tara. I thought NG was a W. What? And Keenan Dunleavy? And that is it. And that is it? Oh, yeah. And if we could have Mr. Colazzi come up and say a few words, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break, because I'm sure the ensemble does not wish to stay here forever. So we'll let you guys go home, and we'll take a 5-minute break while...
Workshops. I'd like to schedule 3 of them. One for December, around the 18th, which I believe is a Wednesday night after our council meeting. And then, based on that, we'll look at the schedule in January to schedule 2 more public workshops in January, and maybe by the end of January, we come up with a plan with that. As far as who we would like to invite, obviously the administration, public works director, and any members of this body who want to be on that committee, speak tonight, and make sure you get an invitation to the public workshop. Councilman St. Maria, Councilman Farina, Councilman Botts. You can all come in if that's the case. It's Councilman Stichels. I mean, it's really, we'd like to get some input from the public, and then we'd like to discuss maybe some alternatives, and perhaps we can talk about a recycling program after one of these workshops. So that's what the committee look at.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Any questions for Chairman Aceto?
Well, it's true.
Hearing none, we'll move on to safety services.
Excuse me, Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, okay.
If,
Former Councilman Barone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, if I may, also to that roster, if I would recommend, if you're allowed to recommend the Clean City Coordinator.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I can pass that on to the Public Works Director?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to Safety Service and License Committee. Council Chair Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. Ordinance 10-1401, ordinance amendment of Title 5.12 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Alcoholic Beverage License, Alcohol Expansion Permit Renewal. This passed unanimously through Safety Services Committee. This will allow small businesses to pay a one-time fee rather than an annual fee. I think it helps small businesses with their expenses, so I move passage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Stichels.
Could you explain, I'm not on that committee, could you explain what the details of the one-time fee would be $250 rather than?
Could I defer that to Madam Clerk? I don't know the exact fees. It was an annual fee of, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Under the current ordinance, liquor establishments that have expanded their area of service, whether it's been a permanent expansion in terms of structural additions or just seasonal, they've been paying a $250 annual fee every year. What this ordinance does is it changes that to if the business has invested in the property and done a permanent expansion in terms of a permanent addition or expansion of the building, it's a one-time fee, and then that becomes part of their service area going forward. The only ones that would continue to pay an annual renewal fee would be those that are seasonal, that do not have any permanent structures added to their business.
And do we have a fiscal note for this?
No, but we could get one if you'd like, I'm guessing. The reason I think Steve and Sarah so eloquently just mentioned to me is that they are expanding from where they bought the place. The footprint has gone out, and they're paying the $250, plus they're paying the taxes on the expansion too. So a lot of these small businesses are just getting by, and this would be more apt if it was for like a tent or something that was temporary, but this is permanent. They've made an investment into the city. They've built the patio. So
if I have a restaurant and I build an addition on the restaurant, by building an addition on the restaurant, I trigger a $250 a year fee forever?
You used to. This bill is going to stop. This ordinance is going to stop that. It's going to make it a one-time fee.
Okay, but could I ask through Richard, the clerk, do we get 10 of these $250 fees a year, or do we get 1,000, or how many?
On the expansions, probably more in the, I did not check the numbers, I can do that for you, but more in the 10 category.
Okay. Thank you.
Council Vice President Farina.
To echo what Councilman Stichels was going down, I have no problem with making things better for small businesses. In fact, I applaud that. However, before I vote yes or no on this, I'd want to know exactly how many businesses would be affecting, what the net cost of the city would be. If it is 10, if it's 20, if it's 40, I still have no issue with it, but I think, we should look into what the overall cost in the future is going to be. I think it's good government to make sure that we're dotting all the Ts, dotting all the Is and crossing all the Ts.
Council President, I have no problem with that. The committee members that voted on it have no problem with it. I certainly don't.
Okay. Any other? Councilman Favecchio.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I, as a co-sponsor, obviously, I'm in favor of this. I think that by taxing them, we're double taxing those businesses that have expanded their business, companies that haven't, paying the same $250. So why should they pay double just because they've expanded the footprint a little bit and they're paying taxes on tangible and other ways? So I think we really want to promote businesses, and I think this is one small token of gesture that we can do, and I don't think the cost is going to be significant at all.
Council Vice President Farina.
I agree with everything you said, but I don't plan on wish and hope. I don't plan on think. I just want to know.
I have no problem.
Abundance of caution, that's all.
Through the chair?
Yes, to the president, you mean? Right?
Yes, through the chair of the meeting, Council President. I can go check, if the council wants to table this temporarily till the end of the meeting, I can go downstairs and tell you what the approximate loss in revenues will be, because the businesses that have permanently expanded will no longer be paying this fee. So it'll be an actual loss of revenue, and I will get you those numbers if you like.
Be great.
Motion to table?
Yeah, we can put this to the end.
Continue to the end of the meeting, or we get the information?
Second.
Whichever comes first.
All right. In addition to that, should we look up the additional taxes they're paying for expanding?
Won't be able to get that tonight.
Because that's captured revenue also.
I don't have access to that information. I can only give you the numbers with regard to the licensing fees.
Council President, I'm only concerned with the loss of revenue, not the revenue that offset the loss.
So you're not concerned about only concerned about the loss of revenue and not about the additional revenue?
Well, we already gave the additional revenue. This would cause us to lose more revenue, so I'm interested in the amount of money the city would in turn lose.
No, I'm just saying that because of the additional taxes they're paying for the expansion part.
I understand, but that's already in our tax base. We've already collected that money, so this
Right.
ordinance, in a sense,
All right.
takes away.
Madam Clerk, could you get downstairs and get that information?
I shall.
Councilman St. Marie, you want to continue?
Thank you, Council President. Class B victualling license new, this is above the cap, requires full council approval. Effendi Mediterranean Grill, this is license number 81. The committee has met, recommended approval. Madam Clerk, before you leave, Effendi's had a passage pending, 2 items that had to be done before the council meeting. Those have been accomplished. Effendi. It was a tax issue and a site plan review.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're discussing the on the Effendis?
Yes.
Yes, he has submitted the revised site plan, and that must be reviewed by zoning, so it's subject to that approval, and the tax issue has been addressed as well.
Council President, both items have been satisfactorily taken care of, so I recommend passage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve, and there's a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, Council President, Zona Lounge, that's license number 82. The committee met on this also and recommends approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Effendi, would you like to say a few words?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Efendi.
Push the button on the bottom. There's a green light. Come on.
Yes, sir. Again, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your helping me 12 years, and I will try to my best to be a good business in the Cranston and bring the business. And I appreciate your help, and good luck for the new councilman, and I wish you best, and Happy New Year, and Merry Christmas, and
Happy Thanksgiving.
thanks so
Happy
much.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay,
I'm going to reserve the right to go back to,
we'll go on to the Ordinance Committee, but we'll reserve the right to go back to Safety Services on that first item.
Ordinance, thank you, Council President.
Did we vote? Yeah, we voted on Zona.
you Zona?
No.
You all set? Yeah, we vote. You want to say anything? No. Okay. You have to say something to get the license. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Good luck.
Chairman Arquette.
Thank you,
Moving on to
Council
ordinance.
President. 10-14-02, ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. Sharon and Holly, three-way stop sign pass committee. Entertain a motion.
Motion to pass.
Second.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, Council President, 10-14-03, ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, titled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Edgewood Avenue and Edge Street four-way stop sign. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Aceto.
Yeah, as I'm just looking at the agenda, I noticed that the next ordinance has a traffic engineer report, and I'm noticing that the first two, the first one that we voted on, and this one here doesn't have a traffic engineer report. Is there a reason for that? Through the chair to the administration?
Councilman, on ordinance 10-14-2, 10-
Point of order, that we're not on 02, we're on 03. That's before us. 03 is before us. 02 is already passed.
I think Councilman Aceto, if not mistaken, has questioned both those ordinances.
Well, I think that's out of order because
I'm looking for an engineering report.
10-14-02 has already passed.
There's no traffic engineer report.
Well, 10-14-03 is before us, but I'll yield.
Can I continue, Mr. President?
Yes, continue.
10-14-02, 10-14-03, traffic engineer is going to exercise his right to take the 90-day rule. 10-14-04 does have a negative endorsement.
All right. And the traffic engineer's report is just a recommendation.
Right.
Everybody understands that. It's not something that stops anything. Councilman Arquette, continue.
That's fine. 90-day rule's fine with me. So 10-14-03 is before us this time.
All right, there's a motion, a second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Council Stichels?
Yes.
Council Botts?
Yes.
Council Majority Rochetto?
Yes.
Council Lucido?
Yes.
Council Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Patrizio?
Yes.
Council Vice President Polino?
Yes.
Council President Lee?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, Council President, 10-14-04, ordinance amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Wine Street, one-way traffic between 2 and 3 p.m. Mondays through Friday. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Barnes?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilman Marina?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
That concludes the ordinance committee.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Finance Committee, Chairman Stichels.
Yep, thank you. We have the monthly ordinance authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements as recommended by the tax assessor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Barnes?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
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 Council President?
Yes.
We have, next is the waiver of interest on overdue property tax payments that have been recommended by the city treasurer.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Barnes?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Vecchia?
Yes.
Council Vice President?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
Okay, next is an ordinance which I believe was unanimously passed by the committee to exempt tangible property for businesses valued at less than $10,000. And there is a fiscal note which,
Amended.
well, actually, it's not 10,000. The committee amended it to 5,000. And the amended fiscal note for the $5,000 threshold is $69,000 a year. Well, we should, somebody should move that.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Vecchio.
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank my colleagues for having a little blind faith on this one. It's another small step for small businesses to give them a little bit of relief for some of the small items they have to deal with, which is $5,000 worth of tangible property is averaged, I think they said $150 in the bill, and the amount of work it takes the assessor's office to handle it probably is wasting money. So we're hoping that that small decrease in income will be replaced by the extra effort that the assessor's office can make with larger commercial businesses. So, and I think it sends a good message to small businesses, much like the other one that we passed earlier. So thank you for supporting me on this.
Any other discussion? Hearing Councilman Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. The total tax will be reduced by $179,000. That correct?
No, the amended amount was 60 million.
I'm reading the fiscal note. That's
But
attached.
she sent a separate email later with the amended,
Oh,
updated.
16, okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Barnes?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilman Marina?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the bus driver and mechanics contract for the school department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Barnes?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Vecchia?
Yes.
Council Vice President Marina?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
And the final item to vote on is the contract for the tradespeople. I think there are 6 or 8 masons, carpenters who work for the school department, and this is a contract, the terms of which are almost identical to the bus driver's contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Marqueta?
Yes.
Councilman Lucido?
Yes.
Councilman Severino?
Yes.
Councilman Ivey?
Yes.
Councilman Caprino?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. President, one more item concerning the Finance Committee. As you know, the mayor has forwarded the nomination of two people to be captains in the police department, and not captains, two captains to be majors in the police department. And I requested on behalf of the committee that we have an executive session to go over the personnel files of these two individuals. That request was rejected by Mr. Cordy, who says that we should not, we have no right to the personnel files under state law. And I'd just like to ask the council's attorney whether he agrees with that decision, and specifically whether he thinks we have a right to those, see those personnel files.
Okay. Through the chair, Councilman. First, I did see the response from Mr. Cordy, which cited the public meetings law, and whether it's an open record, I believe was the citation, and it said subject to state or federal law. I am not aware of a specific prohibition that would deny you the right to see those files, and let me put it in the context of both the charter and the code. The council is required, pursuant to the charter, to conduct advice and consent, and as part of that process, to evaluate the character and qualifications of an individual for a position where either the charter or code requires confirmation. And the code specifically, section 2.08110, does include majors in the police department as an area where the council has to conduct advice and consent. Given the allegations which have been in the paper, as well as the lawsuit which is currently pending in the United States District Court against the city, and I believe being brought by the second major against the first major in federal court, I think without having that information, the council would find it nearly impossible to conduct a reasonable and fair inquiry into the qualifications and character of these individuals if it could not see these files, these disciplinary files, or the personnel files. So given the, number one, the requisite of the charter and the code, as well as the unique circumstances in this fact pattern where two majors are, well, one major is suing another major, acting major, I should say. Let me put it this way. Two captains are involved in a lawsuit, as well as the city and everyone else. So I think it is reasonable to request that information, and I think I see nothing specifically that would prohibit the administration of the police department from providing those files. If there are matters that they feel should be handled in a confidential manner, whether it be a healthcare information piece that might, under HIPAA or another provision, I think that has to be raised, and then the council has to make a decision as to whether that would be reviewed and whether it would be reviewed in executive session or in public session. So I think, I believe that the request is reasonable, and I do not think it specifically would violate state law to have the council review those as part of its advice and consent process.
Okay, thank you. I would just say that this kind of clamming up on the information by the administration, will make it extremely difficult to consider these important appointments. And I think I would like to talk with you, Mr. Council President, after the meeting about what should be done and whether we should go forward with the hearings, given that all we have at this point is a resume from the two candidates and a lot of newspaper coverage about lawsuits. So I think we need solid information, and these people, one of whom is going to be the number 2 in the police department, and the other one is going to be the number 3, that we need to look at this carefully. So I'm disappointed by the administration's response.
Through the chair, if I may. Thank you. A couple of things, if I could respond to that, Mr. Stikos. First of all, I did offer you bios, which are a complete listing of their records in the police department. It does not include their confidential, privacy-protected information. That's one. Apparently, that's not enough for you. 2, I would strongly encourage that you have your solicitor communicate with the city's solicitor, who's the one the advice I take, and see if they can't come to an understanding as to how the law reads. I'm going by the advice of the city solicitor. And thirdly, I'm not going to break the law for anybody.
If I could just, let's see, the first point, I don't know what to just respond to the first point, I don't know what a bio is, and I want to see the actual information. I don't want an edited version of the information. I know that the lawsuit, for instance, of Mr. Padalano is extremely critical of the mayor and his behavior in dealing with Mr. Padalano. So I don't think I want the mayor editing a bio. I want to see the actual info. I don't know whether it's edited or not. I don't know what a bio is. That's number 1. Number 2 was, your second point was that the council's lawyer should talk with the city's lawyer. I agree 100% with that. And the third point being that you will not break the law for anyone, and I certainly support that position and would hold it myself. So I think we're in agreement on at least 66% of the issues that you presented. Thank you.
Attorney Quinlan, would you like to comment?
Yes, I will contact the city solicitor tomorrow and see if I can understand what the nature of the objection is, because I don't think anyone here is asking anyone to violate the law, but no one has been any more specific than citing a Public Records Act statute that states if it violates state or federal law. We certainly understand health care information, but when you're assessing the character of individuals to 2 highest positions in the police department, I think it presents a unique opportunity and a unique responsibility to look behind just the cover sheet.
Councilman Santa Maria?
Thank you, Council President. While we're on the subject, when are we getting the report?
Through the chair?
Yes.
If my memory serves me correctly, during the advice and consent process of Colonel Winquist, Council President announced that the Colonel of the State Police promised him he would get one. Do you have it? I don't.
I don't either.
Okay, so can I ask a question off of that? Are you in contact with the Colonel to find out when we're going to get the report?
Was that question directed to the administration or myself?
Well, through you to the administration.
I was told by the Colonel that the report belonged to the administration. It was up to the administration to give me a copy of it if they wished. And if they did not wish, he said he would go into executive session and verbally tell us what was said. Am I in contact with the Colonel? Absolutely not. But I think looking at this entire situation that's been going on now forever, this council has been left out in the dark. And we need a state police report. We need closure. And the only way you're going to get closure is you have to open up that box and let the air in. And that has not happened.
Well, Council President, I would like to see the report. I've said it since the whole thing started. So if we can get an idea when we're getting the report.
Last I heard it was December.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Farina, Vice President Farina, sorry.
Thank you, Council President. I'd be interested to see, this is to the administration, interested to see what the bio looks like, because that may solve most of my questions. I don't think I want to see their individualized human resource personnel detail files. I think I'd like to know what positions they held, when they held in the department, basically a more detailed history of their time with the CPD. I think that would help me in my decision. I think I don't know if that's what you're referring to as a bio. I just would like to clear up what you're talking about.
Through the chair.
I mean, we had one for Colonel Winquist that literally stated, you know, this year he had this position and and there was a definition of what that position was and what he did in it and all the accomplishments he had in it. I think that may help us. I don't know what the rest of the body is looking for, but I think for me that would be beneficial.
Mr. Cordy.
Thank you. Yes, sir, I'll be more than happy to provide that on the 3rd in executive session. And it does include exactly what you've described. It's the positions they've held, the commendations that they've earned, their time in grade, and basically gives you an outline of their background and experience within the department.
And then I would assume prior to any positions that they held, schools they went to, degrees they achieved.
Everything that was directly correlated to their job as far as a policeman and their experience and training. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Favecchio, you had your hand up earlier?
Yes. Yes, I did, Council President. Thank you. I recall Colonel O'Donnell being here telling us that it would take 6 to 8 weeks, and when he had his report, he would give it. He certainly said he would give it to the mayor first, but he never said he would have it before Thanksgiving. He indicated it would be at least December. So I don't know, you know, I know we want to keep asking for it, but we all heard what he had to say, and so we can ask through the chair to Mr. Cordy as to when and if that might be forthcoming. But I don't think we need to, you know, argue about it when we already knew that it wasn't going to be here today, and I'm sure that it'll come at the appropriate time. So I think we should defer it to the administration to ask at least when that report will be due.
Councilman Arquette.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. I find it very, very funny that we're being asked by the mayor to confirm his selections for the number 2 and number 3 positions in the Cranston Police Department when this body hasn't received any information about Ticketgate from the mayor's office. We're still waiting on a report. It's been over a year now, and I would advise this body not to confirm anyone for the second, number 2, or number 3 position until we get a report that answers some of our questions. And I hope my colleagues agree with me. Thank you.
Councilman Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to remind the minority leader, and he knows me well, that I did ask politely. I just want to get some sort of, as Council President said, some closure. So I meant no disrespect to the administration. I did ask politely. I want the report. I want to look at it before I make any decisions on anything. Thank you.
Councilman Aceto.
I'm looking at it from maybe a different way than everybody else is. I thought that we were going to get an operational report too, to see what improvements, what happened, how it failed and whatnot. And based on that, then if you're looking at the people that are going to be number 2 and 3 of the department, what skills do they have to help the colonel move forward operationally to solve these issues? So it's kind of the old syndrome of what comes first, the cart or the horse, you know? I mean, I think we've all been promised this report. I think we all need to get it. And not only do we need to get it, the taxpayers of the city of Cranston deserve to get it also. And this is the bottom line. But if I'm going to make an informed decision, I really need to know what the operational deficiencies are so we can put the right people in place to correct these deficiencies. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Well put.
Solicitor Kirschenbaum.
Yes, just to the council, I know that we've skipped a couple of sections in the agenda, and we've gone to like council member communications. So I know we're talking about a topic now that may not be on the agenda. So I know we took it a little out of order, and I understand that the council, and I'll express to the administration that the council would like to see a report, but I wouldn't want anyone to think that we were prejudging in any way these appointments. I think think the council's will is clear that I'm hearing virtually everyone say they would like to see the report, and I'll pass that along. But I wouldn't want to violate any type of open meeting by taking a right turn into another one of these discussions.
I agree. In abundance of caution, maybe we should just move on.
Moving on. Sorry, you're up.
I'm up, okay. I gotta pull up my screen now.
Councilwoman Lee, I believe you're on deck.
On deck.
So I have the report of the settled claims for informational purposes only. Thomas J. Izzo, $1,000 for property damage. William Leonardo, $146.43 for vehicle damage. MetLife Auto and Home for Albert Ucci for $1,022.49 for vehicle damage. Robert Heimers, $268.24 for vehicle damage. Patricia Romano, $1,459.80 for vehicle damage. Jared Nedvidik, $146.92 for vehicle damage. I think we're still working on potholes, so that's it.
Thank you, Chairman Lee. Public hearings. Any member of the public would like to speak on any undocketed item? Nobody wants to speak on any item whatsoever? The weather, time of the day, whatever the... No? Okay, you had your shot. You know, now we'll go back to the expansion ordinance on the Council of Santa Maria, the safety services, that first one.
Thank you, Council President. Madam Clerk, Vice President Farina needed the dollar amount if this ordinance should pass.
Yes, based on the list of the liquor serving establishments with permanent expansions that we have, there are approximately 9. So it would be a loss of, in revenue of around $2,000. $2,200, yeah, that's correct. They would no longer have to renew every year, and I do have a list of them if you want me to go through them.
Council President, did you hear the amount? It's $2,000 loss in revenue.
2,000?
Correct.
2,200.
2,200, I'm sorry.
Oh, $2,200. Okay.
But we do have 2 new ones that are also coming in that have recently expanded, so that would be additional income which would offset that.
Okay.
So.
Councilman Stichels?
Yeah, I'm just reading this and had a question. Is this, is it only outdoor? Is it only to do with outdoor people? I mean, if I have a restaurant that has 4 walls...
Some restaurants do tents, and that's considered seasonal and per diem. That's not changing, correct? Just the permanent...
No, the expansion of service applies not only to outdoor seating, but also when a business expands its footprint of its establishment. So the Applebee's in Garden City has recently modified their interior. They've added additional seating and expanded the interior. That is an expansion also. It's when the liquor applicant comes in, they provide a diagram. It's required by the Department of Business Regulations. They have to show their service area, storage area, where the liquor is going to be served. After that's approved, any time that the business wants to expand beyond that footprint, that's considered an expansion.
Okay, because it's an expansion of the area in which alcohol is being served.
Yes, for beyond the original footprint. I mean, if they just rearrange the interior space, they just have to file a new plan, but it's not an expansion.
Councilman Stichels, to put it into perspective, it's like what Basta did when they built the outside patio in the back.
Yep.
So rather than charging them every year, it's going to be a one-time charge because it's a permanent structure.
Thank you. Now I get it.
Council Vice President Farina.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you to the City Clerk for looking that up for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't be at the Safety Services meeting for the whole time. I would have asked then, but I do value every penny that the city has, and every penny we give away is a penny we have to find. I'm glad to hear it's only 3,000. I will say the number feels low because I feel like in the last 2 years I've been on this council, I think I voted for more than 11, but if you did the work, it just feels like we voted on more. I mean, I think I could name 7 off the top of my head without even thinking about it. But if it's only $3,000, it's only $3,000. But I'd rather know before I vote.
It would, actually, it's less than that. It was approximately 2,200. And these are the
you have two
permanent,
more.
these are the permanent expansions. The seasonal ones will continue to renew every year, and we do get those.
Councilman Favecchio.
Thank you, Council President. And remember, I'd like to remind my colleagues that we're also getting more tax revenue as a result of these expansions, and they may be increasing the value of the property, and they're paying tangible taxes because they're probably all above the $5,000 minimum that we just exempted. But so I think we're going to get. I don't think we're going to lose. I don't think we're going to lose money.
I hate to correct you, Councilman, but we will lose $2,200 plus $500 because the taxes for their buildings are already in our base. They're already paying taxes on the expansion. So I needed to know the number before I can vote in an ordinance. I'm very fiscally responsible, transparent for all the people who can see. That's the goal here, not to belittle you or belittle Council President or talk about a resolution. I want to know exactly how many pennies and dollars we have to find in this budget, because Councilman Arquette said it last at the Finance Committee meeting. We were talking about the ordinance to reduce taxes on small businesses. We have a very significant stressful financial future coming. There's a lot of cuts in state aid, a lot of problems at the top that we're going to have to manage through. And every vote has got to be a sensible vote. And I agree with helping businesses, but we just have to make sure that we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That's my philosophy.
Councilman Santa Maria.
I just want to remind everyone that the majority of those small businesses are in Ward 5. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that situation. And most of the expansion comes from the restaurants in Ward 5. So I just, not being territorial, but I guess I'm being territorial.
I hate to remind you, Councilman, you are a citywide councilman now.
I know.
No longer a Ward 5 councilman, so you must represent the city.
But I still love my restaurants in Ward 5, as you do too, my Council Vice President.
I think you can be territorial for another month or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'll hand it over to Councilman-elect Papalauskas, right?
Yes. I'd like to acknowledge that Councilman Papalauskas is in the audience, the new councilman from Ward 5. Moving on, any other discussion on this? Clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That concludes Safety Services, Council President.
Oh, thank you. Election of city officials. The next matter is my appointment to the Planning Commission under the new charter amendment. Mrs. Harrington is from the eastern part of the city and represents Ward 1, 2, and 3. Councilman?
Council President, if I may?
Yes. Mr.
Just
Morrell.
kind of a heads up with Ms. Harrington. She presently sits on Historic District Commission also, and per the Planning Director, Peter LaPola, it's a possible conflict of interest if she sits on both boards.
Okay. Councilman Aceto?
I think I could shed some light on that. Years ago, I was elected councilman, and I was on the zoning board, and I got an opinion from the Ethics Commission to see if I could serve as both, and the answer was yes, as long as an item that comes in front of, she can only vote once. So if it goes in front of the Historic District Commission and she votes on it, she can't vote on it in planning. If she doesn't vote on it in the Historic District Commission, she can vote on it in planning. As long as those two rules are found out, I believe that she can serve.
Councilman Santa Maria?
Would she have Councilman Aceto? She just resigned the other commission, if she wanted to.
If she wants to, I'm sure, but why, if she's doing public service.
So she has two options then, basically. Okay.
I'm going to get a legal opinion from our attorney. Mr. Quinlan?
I would concur that she could not vote on the matter from both positions. I think if she wanted to, in an exercise of an abundance of caution, she could get an advisory letter similar to what Councilman Aceto did, but I think that is the general rule, because unless you act on one or the other, I mean, it's not a conflict by virtue of state law that prohibits it, it's more an operational issue.
I have a question.
Any other discussion?
Just one question. I just have a question.
Councilman Favecchio.
Thank you, Council President. Just a question through the chair to either Mr. Quinlan or to Mr. Kirschenbaum. How often would the probability of a conflict arise? I mean, how many times would, the historic district issues and the planning department come in conflict?
Through the Chair, I really don't know if it's ever happened. I don't know the answer, though. I can't give you an opinion on that. I'd have to research it. Evan?
I don't think they've come into conflict that often. The only thing I could think of was with the Chapel View MDP, where the Historic District Commission looks at the value of the, I'm not sure.
She serves on the Conservation Commission.
Conservation?
Council Vice President Farina.
I'm just going to say, because this is a council president appointment, that welcome to the city, Mrs. Harrington. I think you'll be an asset with your skills and backgrounds. I had a chance to look at your resume. Congratulations, you're an asset to the city. You've been an asset on the Conservation Commission. Now you'll be an asset on the Planning Commission. So thank you for your service.
Motion approved?
No, it's already approved. There's no motion
Okay.
approved. Okay. The appointment, hearing no other objections, congratulations. I'm sure you do a fine job.
Through the chair, just for the record, there is a typo on the docket. It's a 4-year term. It's not. It will end in 2018.
The appointment, an appointment.
All right, it's a 4-year term.
That's no problem.
All right, moving on, let's see. Audit Committee. Robert E. Bout, Junior Esquire, reappointment, a term ending December 31st, 2016 to the Audit Committee.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stieglus?
Yes.
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 Yes. William E. Squazzaro, Ph.D., reappointment, term ending December 31st, 2016 to the Audit Committee.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stieglus?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Probate Judge Advisory Committee, Richard Del Sesto, reappointment, term ending December 31st, 2016.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Lee? Yes. Councilman Stieglus?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. A report of city committees. Mr. Moretti, do you have a report from the Audit Committee?
The Audit Committee did meet this past week. Some of the items on the agenda, most importantly, probably was the auditors from Markham LLP gave an update as to the status of the year-end June 30th, 2014 audit. And they'll be submitting their draft audit report to the Audit Committee next Tuesday. Soon followed, I believe, on Thursday, they'll be presenting to the Finance Committee. To take a little bit of their thunder, as Mr. Strawn, Mr. Balducci reported, there are surpluses both in the city and school budgets. I'll leave the details for later on or for the directors. So good news in that regard, which is consistent with what we were told. Another item of discussion was the RFP for the new audit cycle. It's been 6 years now that we haven't, we now must change auditors. There's a bit of confusion, if you will. The current auditing firm called Markham used to be a firm called Braver. Markham acquired Braver. So we received an opinion from the Auditor General and basically deferred to the city to say that they can, if they do wish, to submit a proposal to us along with any other auditing firm so interested in the next audit cycle. So we clarified that regard. In fact, the city solicitor has confirmed that he will testify that there's no independence problems to allow Markham to bid on the next engagement. That'll be happening in early next year. That RFP will be going out. And the other item was the chairman requested some input. Obviously, there's been some discussion on fiscal notes, and the chairman liked input from the various members of the Audit Committee to give their opinions, both in terms of how certain calculations are made, then also presentation of the fiscal notes in terms of what would be the most informative method of presenting them. The one takeaway that I have that they directed me to ask Mr. Strom to select an employee that might be receiving a mid-year increase, just to validate the method of which and the impact, the financial impact that has on the city fiscally. And that was a takeaway from there. So the Audit Committee will be meeting briefly on just prior to during the Finance Committee meeting, and then the auditors will be here presenting their audit findings to you next Thursday, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Councilman Stichels, do you have a report for the committee? For the council, I should say.
From the Audit Committee?
Yeah.
No, I think Mr.
Board of Investment Commission report.
I don't think I'm a very good person. I was at the Investment Commission, but I don't think I'm a very good person to give a report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to the administration on the property violation?
Oh, I do. I mean, I do think maybe Mr. Strom could give a report on the Investment Commission, more capable than mine.
Thank you, Council President. Before I get into the Investment Commission Committee, I just wanted to follow up on the Audit Committee. Some things that I think the Council should know. From the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, through June 30th of 2013, the City of Cranston has the highest cumulative surplus in the state of Rhode Island. Through 2013, it was just short of $22 million, of which $16.7 million was unassigned, meaning that money could be used for anything that the council should choose to use it for. We have another $7 million and change that's reserved for various items. Our unassigned is the highest in the state, and our total cumulative surplus is the highest in the state, and that's through 13. There isn't a community that's even close to the city of Cranston. The second item that I wanted to just mention too is that when the auditors gave their report at the Audit Committee, the city of Cranston on the city side was going to be generating over $500,000 in surplus. On the school side, it was going to be close to $3 million, 2.9, I believe. The school currently has a $2.2 million cumulative deficit. With the surplus that they're reporting, will bring that cumulative deficit to a cumulative positive surplus for June 30, 14 of $700,000. So between the school and the city, we'll have a cumulative surplus that will be around $25 million. And I think that is a credit to this administration and to the city council for working diligently during difficult times to achieve such positive benefits to the taxpayers of the city of Cranston and to the financial status of the city going forward. One comment on the fiscal note. I objected to the fiscal note discussion because when we had the audit committee is based on the audit that's currently in hand, and the auditors will not even comment on a fiscal note. That's not part of their scope of work. The Auditor General has stated that on a fiscal note, if the contract requires a fiscal note, he does not state how a fiscal note is presented. It is up to the city to determine how they want that fiscal note. And we've presented, in 6 years that I've been here, 8 different fiscal notes. One, unfortunately, wasn't approved because of other reasons, not because of the fiscal note, but 7 of 8 have been approved, and every one of those contracts has never been a financial deterrent or an issue to the city. We base a fiscal note on budget to actual per year, and it's never been an issue to the city of Cranston. So I just want to go on record as saying that. Going forward on the Investment Commission, we had a meeting on Monday, November 17th. The topics that were discussed were with Janie Montgomery Scott. They gave us a quarterly report through September 30th, 2014. This is for our pension fund, for the assets that are in it, for the city's underfunded pension, fire and police. Right now, through September 30th, we have just short of $64 million of assets. Since their inception, which was 6/17 of '09, and since we made the change to Janie Montgomery, our rate of return is 10.75%. Compared to what the assumption rate is that we've used, that's pretty much corresponds to the state of Rhode Island. Theirs is 7.5%. We've generated 10.75% in the last 5 years, plus 5+ years. We have monies in our portfolio that are spread out between U.S. equity, international equity, fixed income, alternatives, and cash and equivalents. So there were times when the market dipped considerably, and we still were able to generate a rate of return that far exceeds what our assumption was. And that was the positive that was presented to us by Janie Montgomery. The other was that we have $3 million that we have available to invest, and they recommended that we invested in 3 different types of alternative investments, which was $1 million roughly to John Hancock, $1 million to Dreyfus, and $1 million to Stadion Fund. There's various reasons, I won't get into that, why they recommend them. We also review all our managers on a quarterly basis, and at times Janie has stated that the city should look into making a change of manager, and we have done that, and they've recommended managers to change to, and I think they've done an outstanding job with our portfolio over the last 5+ years. In addition, I received our actuarial report from Buck Consultants. I'm happy to announce that the Buck Consultants, the unfunded asset liability had dropped from $255 million to $246 million. Primarily due to a good rate of return and also some adjustments in some of the data that was given to them that was advantageous to us. We also, which I think is very important, we have, based on that funding improvement plan that the mayor and the police and fire agreed to, and it was approved by the courts, the state of Rhode Island, the court system, we have the ARC that we have to do, which is the annual required contribution. The annual required contribution has been, for the last 2 years, at 22 million plus, 22.3. I'm happy to announce that this year, for the new budget year of 16, the annual required contribution is going to drop by $1 million to 21.3. That's a significant figure because that can help when we do the budget for fiscal year 16. And the funding ratio, I believe you people know, was at one time 15.8%. It is now at 23.3%. Now, you could say it's still way underfunded. Well, that's true, but we are making progress, and as long as this administration's here and going forward, if every administration adheres to the annual required contribution and we have a rate of return of that meets 7.5% or greater, a blended rate of return, this plan will be sustainable and it won't be a burden going forward to the taxpayers of the city of Cranston. And that's my spiel.
Councilman Stichels.
Yes, because of the comments that were made about the Audit Committee, I'd just like to respond to them. I did, because of the disagreements on fiscal notes, I did place on the agenda of the Audit Committee 3 math problems, which I felt focused the disagreements, focused on the disagreements that I have had with Bob Strom about the way the fiscal notes are being done. I did not indicate what my opinion was or my view of this was, or Mr. Strom's. And I felt that the Audit Committee would be a good group to look at this because it contains, the membership consists of an attorney, a CPA, a gentleman who has a master's in business administration, a PhD, and Councilman Farina and I, and me. And when this item on the agenda came up at the end of the meeting, Mr. Strom left the meeting. So you'll see that there is a proposal trying to get a standardized way to do a fiscal note, but I must say that it appears that Mr. Strom is so angry about this issue that he cannot discuss it in a rational manner. And I was very disappointed that he left the meeting, and I asked him to stay, but he left. So that's what happened on the fiscal note. And as Mr. Moretti reported, on one of the 3 issues, he was asked to go find some more information out before people finish the discussion. So, thank you.
Councilman Arquero.
Thank you, Council President Laney. I just have a couple questions for the Finance Director. Mr. Strom, you made the point that we have $64 million in assets. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the rate of return is 10.75?
That's what it's been since June of
So that's
2009.
a yearly rate of return? Yearly
No, that's a
rate?
blended rate for the last 5 years.
Oh, so that's a running rate? of
Yes.
estimate. So per year, what could you say that the profit or the addition would be? Can you break that down? Is that possible? So that was a running rate of 5 years and not per year then? All right.
Yeah, I can tell you that, just to give you a little input, based on Janney's report, for 2010, the rate of return was 13.16%. In 2011, we had a negative 0.96%.
Okay, all right.
2012 was 11.45, 2013, 17.39. And right now, this year, we're at, don't forget, it's only one quarter, it's at 1.99.
All right, I have a general understanding. Thank you. Now, next question is, I would assume the rainy day fund would be part of the $64 million asset?
No.
That's separate?
This is a separate fund.
Okay, so the next question would be, what is the amount we have in the rainy day fund at this time, roughly?
We have, prior to this audit, we have 22 million.
And is that also being invested at a rate of 10.75%, or is that something different?
That's not really an investment, because people get confused. When you say you have a rainy day fund, you don't have this money in a bank account or an investment account. That's because at times, that's what it ends up at the end of a fiscal year, because at times, that rainy day, that fluctuates considerably all during the year.
Well, I guess is that money, or what is there, is that being invested, or is that just?
We invest whatever we have as cash flow into various banks, short-term.
Okay.
Usually, the greatest we go out is 90 days.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Aceto?
Yeah, I have two questions, Mr. Council President. One through the chair to Councilman Stichels. Steve, why don't you bring those guys in front of Finance? If they're experts, I think we'd love to listen to them in front of Finance Committee, and I think it'd be the proper venue for it rather than the Audit Committee. That's just a personal opinion, but I'd love to see him work out those examples in front of the Finance Committee. And number two, to Mr. Strong, with this pension situation, I mean, obviously, during tight financial times, I can see lowering the payment, but I thought it was already agreed to that, I mean, if we continue on the path and we can afford the $21.1 million, instead of bringing that out to its end of, I don't know, 28 or 30 years, I believe, the actuarial report showed, or the calculation showed, we could possibly pay this off in 10, 15 years if we continue making that $21 million payment, correct?
Well, we are going to make that 21. What I said was that
So you're not saying that...
we're going to pay 100% of the annual required contribution.
Right.
That was agreed upon when we made this
Right.
agreement with the
So in that
retirees.
case, if we're doing so well, instead of this whole 30 years that it's going to take to get rid of that pension, that arc's going to significantly lose a number of years, and we could possibly, if we continue with this rate, pay it off in 19, 20, 21, 22 years, right? 8 years, and that's...
Well, if we contribute at 100% of the arc,
Yes.
that
And
is...
the
that-
investment rate continues to be...
Right, that's already been established in the plan itself. So it's still going to take 20-some-odd years to get this paid, to the fullest. And you don't want... You want to make sure you contribute at 100% of the arc, but there could be at times some down years as well. I mean, I can't guarantee that we're going to have a 10.75% every 5 years.
Right.
If I could, I'd invest my own money that way.
Thank you.
Councilman Botts?
Thank you, Council President. But the ARC is going to be reduced between, you just said for fiscal year 16, it is going to go down $1 million.
That's correct, but
So our payment structure from the previous year is still going to go down $1 million.
for fiscal year 16. Now,
Right.
when we do the actuarial report next year, that arc could go up to 21.8, 21 and a half. I can't tell you that.
If we have a really bad year investment-wise, it could actually go up more,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
So, I mean, it fluctuates, but right now, based on what the actuarial has stated, is that because we had a reduction in liability and we're contributing at 100%, the ARC has dropped from 15 to 16.
And I have one more question. On the cumulative surplus, is there a recommended percentage of, like, the budget that a cumulative surplus should be, that the bonding firms look at? In other words, is there like should be 10%, your cumulative surplus should be 10% of your annual budget? Is there a figure out there for that?
Well, our cumulative surplus through 13 again was 8.5%, okay, of the budget. Now, when this year, after this year is completed, it's very possible that's going to be close to 10%.
And is that the goal we're looking for?
Yeah, usually between 5 and 15% is what the rating agencies like. Now, I can tell you this, when we met with the rating agencies last year, they were very impressed at how the city and the school has got their finances together and how we resolved the pension fund. And I feel very confident with these positive results for this year that when I meet with them this spring, because we need to go to bonding, I believe they're going to give us an increase in our rating as far as...
It's great to hear. Thank you.
I can't guarantee that, but I feel pretty confident that's going to happen.
That's great.
Because they were looking for a 3-year cycle, and now we've had 3 good years between a no tax increase, 3 years of surplus, resolved the pension fund, and our cumulative surplus is increasing.
That's great. Thank you.
Council Vice President Farina.
Thank you, Council President Lanny. Just to follow up on the whole arc, I think when this council initially passed the idea of pension reform based on the negotiations of the mayor and all the unions in the city, namely the police and fire, we understood that you would make the ARC payments flat at 22 change a year every year until the pension reform was solved. I think Councilman Aceto's point was, if we know the ARC is going to go down, wouldn't we assume to just pay the higher dollar to try to pay it down faster, to accelerate the horizon of the problem, and only take that extra money in the ARC as an absolute last resort? If, in case of emergency, break glass, because I don't want to see us starting to play with the ARC. Even though the ARC could come down, we should leave it potentially at 110% or whatever the percentage is to pay over it, to basically keep on that budget of $22.2 million no matter what.
I would say, right off the top of my head, that's an administration decision and a council decision when we do the budget.
Yeah, I agree.
Because-
but I don't want to start putting $1 million in our pocket until we
No,
know.
you're not putting it in your pocket, because believe me, if we don't have to contribute that $1 million, you got to remember, I have to offset $1.2 million in distressed community.
Oh, I know.
So I have a
And-
structural deficit right off the bat.
There's grants that are going to, there's horizons on grants, there's a whole lot of issues that the city is facing in the next 3 to 5 years. Completely understand, but I see 2 gentlemen from the press sitting right there, and I wouldn't want them to put in the paper that, in 2016, we're going to save $1 million and it's going to be great, because we may not. And at that point, the council, whoever it may be, and the mayor, whoever it may be, may decide to pay the full bore of what the $22.2 million is.
Because when we do the budget, technically, you can put any number in there.
Yeah.
That's over the ARC. So if you wanted to put a little cushion into the ARC going forward, we can do that.
I'd rather clean it up
But I think we
quicker.
have to look at all line
City as
items
a whole
of the
thing.
budget.
I'm with you, Director Strom.
Okay.
Any other questions? Councilman Vecchio.
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to Mr. Strom, don't we have also to be concerned with the state pension issue, which has not been resolved, that could end up costing us $1 million more next year?
It's certainly a problem that we have to address. I don't know what it's going to, what the courts are going to rule, but I would assume off the top of my head, when Governor-elect Raimondo said that she resolved the pension fund, I disagreed with that from day one, because it's in court. And when something's in court, I don't find it being resolved.
And
so I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but it could be something where the city is going to have to make up some ground, because I don't believe she's going to get everything that she's requested in the court system or the legislators requested.
As a follow-up, would every dollar that is given back would be anything over zero? Obviously, is going to cost more to the cities, isn't it? Is that true?
Yeah, but I just don't know what that number is. I don't know when it's going to be resolved, out of court, settlement. I don't know what's, it certainly would be an addition to our budget, a cost. What that cost would be, I can't say right now.
Thank you.
To follow up real quick, if you allow me, Council President.
Yes, go right ahead, Council Vice President.
To follow up on Councilman Vecchio, we have pending lawsuits. We have horizons on grants. We have distressed aid we're losing as a city and town. There's significant financial challenges facing the city, and I think as a body we have to be open to them, and we have to see them, and we have to be prepared for them. Because in the next budget cycle, we've been lucky the last 2 years, to be honest with you. We've had 2 years with no tax increase. We've effectively worked with the administration and managed financials. We've done a good job. There are significant challenges in 2015, 2016, and 2017 that's going to take all our skills to make sure we don't ride the train off the rails. And I think we'll have to work with the administration and this body to make sure that that doesn't happen, and I think we will. But to sit here and say with, you know, rose-colored glasses that everything is great, I just want everybody to know that I think we all do, that there are significant challenges facing the city, and I look at Councilor Poplawskis out there. I hope you're ready. You're ready to strap in. It's going to be a fun 2 years.
Well, I think, just to follow up on that, I think there's challenges for every community in the state of Rhode Island. It's not just the city of Cranston.
Okay. Moving on, executive communications. Report on the hiring of special counsel consultants pursuant to Charter Section 15.05. Any discussion?
I have nothing new for you this evening, Council President.
All right, thank you. Council President Communications. That's me. This evening, we talked about majors and captains and lack of transparency. It bothers me immensely. The only thing I know for sure is that this council is not going to rubber stamp anybody, not without getting the full report on exactly what's going on in this city. And that goes from ticket gate to the appointment of the majors and the lawsuits. Everybody's suing each other. The only people in this city making money right now are lawyers. I understand that Antonucci's lawyer, Mr. Augusta, has made $66,000 on his case. I may be wrong, but that's what I'm being told.
He doesn't represent him.
That's the bad news. The good news, Mr. Strom says, financially, we're in very good shape. And we are. But I've been on this city council for 14 years. And I can tell you, and I'll agree with Vice President Farina, may look good today, but tomorrow the roof can cave in. It happened during the recession, when the state withheld all the state funds to the city. We went through that. We're back on our feet again, and let's hope, as a council, as a community, and as administration, we can stay on our feet. So let's go forward and let's have a happy Thanksgiving and hope this next year is as good as the last one. Thank you all. Now, council member communications. Anybody from the council? Councilman Stikos.
Yep, I just have the status of the tree planting program, Mr. Barone.
The press release went out today, and the announcement will go on the website by the end of the week.
Great. Thank you.
Any other council communications? Council Vice President Farina.
I have a very quick one. I wasn't on the docket, so Councilman Arquette, if you'd like to go, I'll yield.
Did you have something?
30 seconds. One. You know, I know a lot of us want to see the report, and I know that the Colonel of the State Police told Council President Lanny that he would come before us. I know we're voting on this next week. I don't know the validity of the availability of the Colonel, but is it possible he could come before us next week and give us a high-level overview of the report? He said he would. Could the administration contact him, get him to come before us? I know the full report might not be done, but at least if we could have some preface so we could make an informed decision. Is that possible?
Through Council President. May I respond, sir?
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. I made that offer to Council Stikos when he sent me the email requesting personnel files, state police reports, and the like. And I volunteered to him that I would be happy to reach out to the state police, have him, either Colonel O'Donnell and or Lieutenant Moynihan, Moynihan and Captain Barry, all be there, and to speak to the latitude that they felt comfortable to speaking to address all of your questions on all of these issues.
To the Council President, would that be acceptable?
We have an executive session. I expect all of them to be there at our executive session. Maybe we'll find out something. The bio that Mr. Cordy explained sounds to me like the resume we already received. So I expect more than a bio, I'll be honest with you.
That's all I had.
Any other questions, Councilwoman Lee?
I'm just looking at these cited properties, and there were two properties that I had questioned a while back in Ward 1, and I don't see here. So I was going to send an email to Director Barone to look into that, but it's 154 Westwood Ave. It's vacant, and there's a sticker on the door. I forget, honestly, what the sticker says, but it seems like the city has posted something. And 191 Beachmont Ave, and I believe that one's under foreclosure, and I looked it up, and it, you know, the gutter's falling off. We're running into winter. The roof doesn't look great. It's right next to the park. It's a big lot. It looks like a nice house. So I'm just wondering, if it's not cited, what is being done about those properties? So, is Director Barone here?
I'm here.
Okay.
He's always here. I'm going to make you say that all over again because I really couldn't hear you. I just heard my name.
Sorry. I'll send off this email while we speak. Thank
you. The report that you have in front of you is for the month of October. So anything that was violated in September would not show up on this report.
Oh, okay. So it could be under violation and just not be...
That's correct.
Okay.
This is the first month that the Inspections Department is providing this report. And this, the reports here, the houses that are violated here are for the month of October.
Okay, great. So I have another question. What happens when they're violated? Then do the fines start to accrue? The daily fines for...
No, what happens is he sends a notice and they have 7 days to respond.
Okay.
The inspector would go back out there in 7 days. If nothing has been done, they sent another notice with a 7-day response again. And if nothing has been done after that, then a notice to appear in court.
Okay.
A summons to go to court.
And is there a fine that...
Yes, but that would depend on what the judge says.
So I think that presses the importance to, the owners and the banks and things like that. But Councilman Favicchio has been racking up the fines on a bank-owned property for quite a while, so I'm getting frustrated with...
I don't have the exact fines in front of me. I don't know what they are, but I know it's a daily fine.
Yeah.
But I don't have it in front of me. I don't have that information in front of me.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Arquero.
It is frustrating.
Thank you, Council President Lanny. Let me preface my remarks by saying that I owe a debt of gratitude and thanks to the Cranston Fire Rescue because last Sunday I had an accident. I called them and they responded very quickly in a professional manner and did wonders, and I got my 5 stitches and that was it. But thanks to the Cranston Fire Rescue for helping me out. I have a couple of items, Council President. One, 762 Dyer Avenue. The mattresses are still in the yard. They've been there, I guess now 5 months, and I'd like to know what the administration is doing to address this problem.
The address actually on that is 362. We went to 762.
762. Did I say 362?
Right. No, it is 362.
I think it's 762.
Okay, well then there's no mattresses in 762, but there were 5 mattresses in 362. So I don't have any information on 762, but I'll give you some information on 362 anyway, because I feel generous tonight. That house has also been violated?
Have inspectors been there?
Yes, the inspectors went there and they sent violation notices to the owner.
Is there an owner? I thought it was vacant property.
It's bank-owned.
Oh, okay, bank-owned, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barone. Next is the fence at Gladstone Street near the elementary school. There's a large hole in the fence, and any child going through that hole may be cut by rusty fence wire. So, the administration needs to get a handle on that.
We do have a handle on that, actually. We have a subcontractor that will go out and repair that. We just have to go in front of BOCAP. So that chain link fence is going to be repaired, yes.
All right, thank you again. And the last is, I've got some phone calls from constituents on Meadow Avenue and the street that runs parallel with Meadow is Fountain Avenue. There are 2 homes that are vacant in foreclosure, bank-owned, and the neighbors are seeing rats running in and out of the house. So we have 2 homes, 21 Meadow Avenue, 3 Fountain Avenue, that are vacant and rat infested, and we need to get some poison and some traps there, or whatever you do to get a handle on that.
Okay, you sent me that email on November 18th, which was probably 3 or 4 days ago. I emailed you today, letting you know that that both addresses were visited. 3 Fountain Street had no indication of rats on the property, but the yard is a mess, so we're going to send that to inspections. 21 Meadow has evidence of rats. They're under the shed. Both properties are unoccupied. Our inspector will try to find the owners of those properties and have them clean it up. To bait 21 Meadow, we're going to need permission from the property owner to get on there. So once we find out who the owner is, we'll be able to do that. So until we find the owners of each property, we're not allowed to go on there.
I understand. Just for the record, I was contacted by an inspector from National Grid. He had to enter the house. I think it was for a gas leak. And his comment to the neighbors were there were dead rats inside the house. So I just want to convey that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Aceto.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. 985 Pippin Orchard, I believe I spoke to the gentleman today, and he's fairly satisfied with what happened. Cambio Court, status on the paving list, I believe you said that that's scheduled for the spring, is that correct?
No. What I said was Public Works went out there and they looked at it. They also determined that with this, there were some surrounding roads that he would like to get done. And then when the new paving list comes out, he'd do his best to get those roads on there.
Did they look at the catch basins too? Like, I believe there's 2 of them that are like...
I could let him know, but you didn't ask me that.
Okay, all right, I'll send you an email in the morning to follow.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Right, and then the last thing is, I got this in the mail today. I don't know who it's from. It says City of Cranston, I guess Department of Public Works. It just reminds everybody that the last collection date for yard waste is December 15th.
I got that too.
That's correct.
So that bulk rate permit is the City of Cranston's, is that correct?
I'm not sure. You'd have to check with Public Works. They sent that out.
So do we budget to get notices like this sent out to the citizens, or do we know what account that money, those monies come out?
Assuming, hold on one second. I just happen to have a copy of that budget. One of the line items in the refuse removal and disposal, there is a $100,000 line item. It's I can't read the first number, but 4603, refuse removal other. He uses that line item for incidentals. If we have to go back out to pick up anything other than the daily routine.
All right, very good, thank you.
Councilman Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. Status report on 81 Midvale. I think that's Attorney Kirschenbaum.
I can take that, Councilman. I have an email from inspections, and I'll read it verbatim. I just got a call from Westcott Properties, who will be working on having 81 Midvale demolished at the building inspector's request, and he will keep us posted.
Thank you, Director. That's good news. Also, the Atwood and Walnut Grove traffic signal. I will preface this by saying I got a call from DEM, so I'm hoping our stories match.
DEM?
I mean, DOT. DOT, sorry.
So you already know the answer to this?
The answer is supposedly they're going to start tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock and pave in that area.
That's correct.
And striping.
But keep in mind that they're going to pave tomorrow, but it's not going to be completed because they have to put reflectors in the road.
As long as it's paved, because it's been not down to the macadam for 2 weeks.
That's correct.
And I've been getting irate phone calls, so. Yep. Okay. I also have one more that's not on the docket, Council President.
Go right ahead.
But I want to get Councilman Farina first.
I yield to you. I'll wait.
Actually, it's two more. On the attorney's list, the bill for the month, Partridge, Snow, and Hahn has the redistricting plan litigation. We're still getting billed, and we haven't got a resolution to that because the motion to dismiss was denied, and we're still in court, if that's correct. Evan? What I'm saying is we're still getting billed by Partridge, Snow, and Hahn for 17 and a half hours of work at a total of $6,800. Are we going to appeal? Is this an appeal, or is this part of the fee for the motion to dismiss? And where are we going from here?
I will have to get more detail for you on those questions. I believe that there was a motion to dismiss that was denied, so I believe that the next part of the federal court case was a conference with the judge and to see how to manage the discovery in the case and going forward with the merits of the case itself.
Okay, because we're paying $385 an hour to him, so can we move it along a little?
Work faster.
Thanks. And I have one other one, Council President. I got a call from our grant writer, Mr. Filarski, about a possible Brownfield application for a grant. His concern was he's not getting return phone calls from the planning department.
Did you say planning?
Planning, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess it's to the administration. DEM contacted Mr. LaPola on October 31st, and to this day have not received a return phone call. The deadline for the support letter from the state is 12/1, and the EPA deadline is 12/19. We're running out of time, and we're not getting the courtesy of a response from planning. So I was wondering if we could at least get a phone call back. So I guess it's to the administration.
Is this involving any particular piece of property?
No, it's just the Brownfield application. Don't forget, our grant writers just work with grants.
Okay.
My concern is he's not getting, and DEM, since 10/31, has not gotten any response from planning. I know he's busy, but...
I'll send an email tonight to Mr. LaPola to call Mr. Filarski.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman Botts.
Thank you, Council President. I'm sorry I didn't get in. I just have a couple of, well, actually, three items. Number one, I attended the flooding committee meeting the other night, and I was glad to see that Director Mason got an engineering report on, I believe it was 4 different areas within the city that have flooding issues, and I know one of them was in Ward 2 on Garden Street, and I'm glad to see that we have some sort of plan of action on the books regarding that area, and it's my hope that we can find some funding to actually implement that plan. Also, I'm happy to report that the Rolfe Square, the crosswalks were repaired. It no longer looks like there are bricks missing in the various crosswalks in that area, so it does look a lot better aesthetically. The cited properties report, I know it's kind of been a work in progress as far as receiving this. And I was wondering, through the chair of the administration, if we could get a total, because it seems like we're only getting monthly reports, but we have no baseline to work from. And I'm wondering if maybe they could give us a sheet of all the cited properties they currently have on file. And then going forward, then we get the monthlies. That way we have something, we have an idea of what we're working with. Could you bring that to them and see if they could do that?
I could bring it to their attention to ask for that.
Just a one-time report of everything, and then going forward monthlies. I mean, this is fine as it is, but
Do you want a list of everything that was cited and then repaired?
Or currently open?
Just currently open?
Yeah, currently open. And then finally, and I emailed you this today, but since we're here, I had a report of trees being cut down at Aqueduct. Do you know anything about that? With the city cutting down trees over there?
No, I did get that email. Tony Liberatore is on vacation this week.
Okay.
I really don't know who else to reach out to, but I'll check with Public Works. He would know.
Yeah, someone
told
me they cut down some trees. I have an idea what the trees are, and they're notorious for dropping large branches over there, so I'm suspecting that's what it was, but I just wanted to get it, make sure. So
I just didn't want Councilman Stichels to hear that we were cutting trees.
I was waiting in Councilman Stichels' area here.
Well, I actually did see them. I mean, it's pretty bare looking over there.
Yeah.
It's right by the driveway where you go in the parking lot, between the pool and the parking lot.
Those are our 40 trees.
Yeah.
You know the 40 trees that you guys just bought?
No,
That's
it's
where they
smaller
are.
than the ones that were cut.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Aceto.
Yeah, I just want to follow up. I'm looking at the legal expense analysis, and is it traditionally that we're behind, like, I believe there was a police arbitration maybe a week or two ago? That's not listed on here, is that correct?
If you don't get the bill, you're
Not that fast.
I don't know whether or not the
Maybe
bill,
in December?
I don't know whether or not the bill for that, I think I know what you're referring to. I don't know whether or not the bill from that has come in yet.
All right, so I guess my question is, if it's like a police matter and there's an arbitrator, there'll be a charge for an arbitrator and for whichever the attorney is who's handling that?
And normally you would pay something like the AAA arbitration charges a fee to
$250 per arbitration.
whatever the cost might be.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, was there a recent police arbitration on the majors? Do we know that?
You can't speak about that.
Secret talkers don't want to know. To keep it quiet. I'm singing.
The question is, has it been a recent arbitration decision?
Concerning the majors?
I believe there has.
Just hold it down, yeah.
Okay, who else wants to pull a few teeth? Councilman Vice President Farina.
Thank you, Council President. Mine will be more business, less questions. I see these wonderful loan resolutions that we're going to go in this new business, that we as a council actually voted to add to the election cycle. And I see they all say sponsored by Councilman Arlie DeFavecchio. I'm sure after I want to put my name on it, every council member is going to want to put their name on them. So unless someone objects, could you put the entire council on them? Because we've all been briefed, we all voted to put them on the annual election cycle. So I'd like to everyone sponsor them, unless someone has an objection to sponsoring the $15 million for schools, the $2 million for sidewalks, the $2 million for libraries.
Do you mind if...
No offense to my brother, Councilman DeFavecchio.
If I may, Council President, I have no objection to it. As you know, the protocol is if the mayor wants to put something on the agenda, he usually goes through a Republican council person, so I did that. But I have no objection to my colleagues being added to it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes. Councilman Stichels.
Yeah, first, I just wanted to clarify something with Jerry Cordy, please. Jerry, I'm reading from the email that you sent me when I requested the personnel files, and you wrote in that, we will endeavor to have Lieutenant Monahan and Captain Barry, authors of the report, in attendance to answer questions they are at liberty to respond to about any of the major candidates' relationship, if any, to the report. Now, when you made a comment just a few minutes ago, it sounded like you were looking for me to ask you to do that. But when I read this, I thought you were going to do it. Are we set for them to come?
No, sir, I have not reached out to them yet. And part of the reason I have not reached out to them is unless council can give me some reasonable assurance that their presence there will meet your needs, as opposed to us lacking any report from the state police, I don't want to exercise them into coming down here and spending the night to no avail. Now,
Okay.
if council is going to ask me to pass that invitation along, I will be happy to do so.
Okay, you've answered my question.
No, he didn't.
Well, he did. He said he's waiting for us to ask
Waiting
him.
for us to say we're going to okay things if they come into an executive session, and we won't ask any further questions. That's my gist. And that's not going to happen. And if you don't want them to come in here, I can cancel the executive session and insist everything goes on public hearings from this point on.
I would be perfectly happy with that, frankly.
I'm so sick of this bullshit in plain English. The administration's been handing us for the last 6 months. People want to know. Every taxpayer in this city wants to know what the hell happened here in Cranston. And we can't get a straight answer. Everybody's dodging left, dodging right, and they won't give us a straight answer. And every time we ask for something, we'll get back to you. We'll talk about an executive session. We go to executive session, we hear nothing. I'm sick of it. In plain English.
That's right.
The administration better decide what their priorities are. Mr. Kirschenbaum, you have something to say?
No, I don't.
Okay, I have a couple of other issues that I...
Not to,
stay on the topic, yeah, sure.
I'd still like, I agree with everything the council president said. I would not agree to give them a rubber stamp if they do show up. I still would like them here to ask them questions if we're going to move forward. Regardless of how we do it, whether it's here or there, I would like someone to be here if we're going to meet. If they're not going to come and we're not going to get the report, then we should move the executive session because we'll get nothing done. So that's up to you, Council President.
Okay, since we seem to be talking about the police, the arbitration that happened, could the council please get a copy of the decision or settlement in that case, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Going to Councilman Arquetto's mattresses, what has to happen?
The moving mattresses?
The 5 mattresses. I know that if someone doesn't, and this is, I think, probably a question for Mr. Barone, but I know that if somebody doesn't mow their lawn and it gets all overgrown, the city can send the public works crew in to mow the lawn and clean it up and put a lien on the property. And I'm wondering, for the value of the mowing, I'm wondering at what point can that be done? And the second question is, can't that be done with these mattresses?
I'm not sure at what point the grass can be cut. I guess if we can't find an owner, Public Works would go out, cut the grass, and put a lien on the property at some point. I don't want to say we can't find the owner if the owner is not responsive. Usually it's bank-owned property. From what I understand in regards to the 5 mattresses, they were not on the sidewalk. They were in the yard, and that's not against an ordinance. There's no violations to put a mattress in your yard.
I think there's an ordinance that says you have to keep your yard neat.
I didn't see the condition of the yard.
But, well, I think mattresses in the yard, 5 mattresses for 4 months is not neat, regardless of whether there's any grass there or not.
Well, we didn't have the correct address up until a week ago, so.
I disagree with that. You've had the address, though. Let's not go there.
We already went there, Councilman.
You've sent crews out there. You know where the mattresses have been for the last 5 months. I mean, they're not in disguise. They've been there. I've made you aware of it. You send a crew that can locate it. they can't locate 5 mattresses in the yard at Dyer Avenue for the last 5 months. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Councilman Santa Maria.
On a lighter note, I would like to be a co-sponsor on Council Vice President Farina's Social Security resolution.
I welcome the entire council if they so choose to be a co-sponsor.
I would like to be on, but if everyone, I'm just using my...
Everybody.
Okay.
I don't want to be on.
Except for Councilman Stichels.
It's not a good resolution. I think you should listen before putting your name on there.
Social Security one.
Councilman Vecchio.
Thank you, Council President. If I may continue, just, okay. On the mattress issue, I would think that we could cite the owner. In Providence, that's considered hazardous waste, and they issue some very steep fines.
Don't talk to me, talk to them.
Yeah, this is for, for everyone, but also to the solicitor, through the chair to the solicitor. I mean, I think that we could prosecute these just as any other, unkept property, because it is a hazardous waste, and I think we should put the burden on homeowners. I think the figures that we got last meeting of 16,000 mattresses being disposed of in Cranston is indicative of the fact that there are a lot of people dumping mattresses that either are from out of town or they are tenants, and landlords should take responsibility and charge their tenants just as they do in Providence. If they don't put out the trash or they don't recycle, they get fined. The homeowners get pulled into municipal court in Providence all the time. So I think we need to...
Sometimes I make jokes, but this is not a joke. Actually, there is going to be a mattress council established in Rhode Island, and what they're going to do is they're going to prorate certain costs according to market share of mattresses, and they're going to subsidize mattress pickups by the cities and towns. I guess it's kind of like, the only thing I can think of is like a tobacco settlement or something like that, but it's going to be like a mattress type commission. So the state, I guess, recognizes that these runaway mattresses are a problem for the municipalities, and it is a substantial cost.
May I had one other
Yes, Councilman Vecchio.
question or comment, actually. I just, as a follow-up on my, back to trees, the tree issue, I was able to, I want to congratulate Jordan Durham, who was one of the developers in the Garden City apartments. He came through and supplied all of the trees for my Poplar Drive issue there, and actually installed them right around the election. We just have one remaining little issue. There was a tree that, an older tree that one of the constituents wanted taken down, so that one more of these evergreens could be put in to block the vision of, the ingress and egress of those new apartments. So it's 99% done, but just one other thing. Mr. Brown, I'll send you an email tomorrow on it, but it's pretty much done. So I wanted to thank the developers for coming through and paying for the entire thing.
Any other council communications? Hearing none. Old business. Is any old business this evening?
I have none.
Introduction of new business.
Resolution urging the Rhode Island General Assembly to eliminate tax on Social Security benefits, to be referred to the Finance Committee for hearing on December 4th. Resolution, the next three are resolution loan orders. And they're authorizing the issue of $2 million in bonds of the city to finance the acquisition, construction, improvement, renovation, repair, alteration, and equipping of playgrounds and athletic fields in the city of Cranston, to be referred to finance for hearing on December 4th. Resolution loan order authorizing the issue of $15 million in bonds of the city to finance the improvement, renovation, repair, and alteration and equipment of schools and school facilities in the city, to be referred to finance for hearing on December 4th. Resolution loan order authorizing the issuance of $1.2 million in bonds of the city to finance the improvement, renovation, repair, and upgrading of the public library system, to be referred to finance for hearing on December 4th. Proposed ordinance 11-1401, an amendment of Chapter 3.04 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Fiscal Provisions, Ordinance Regarding Fiscal Notes, to be referred to Finance for hearing on December 4th. The next ordinance is proposed ordinance 11-14-02, an amendment of Title 17 of the Code of the City of Cranston for residential plan districts. That has been asked to be referred to the city.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Hold on.
Yes, Council.
Okay, through the chair, so that will then be referred for hearing in January, not in December, to the Ordinance Committee. Okay. We also have the following claims to be referred to the Claims Committee for hearing on December 1st. Property damage claim of Linda Clunan from an alleged incident on August 30th, 2014. Property damage claim of Josephina Correa from an alleged incident on November 3rd, 2014. Personal injury claim of Jesus Garcia and property damage claim of Nalia Echevarria from an alleged incident on October 21, 2014. Property damage claim of Steve Marcelalt from an alleged incident on October 22, 2014. Property damage claim of Francesco Medeiros from an alleged incident on November 6, 2014. Claim of Anthony M. Petracca. Property damage claim of David Roberts from an alleged incident on October 30, 2014. And that's all the new business I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? No?
Motion
To refer.
Motion to refer.
Refer all matters to the city. He's tired. Read by the city clerk. I know it's late, come on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Let's go.
Yes. Is there a motion to suspend Rule 34 so that we can refer the zoning amendment directly to the full city council? Don't need that? All right, delete that. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I stayed. Judge said he was sick, so.
Yeah. We'll pass the coal back and forth. Okay,
Yeah, it's the last.
yeah.